Hey everyone, welcome to Downtime. I'm your host Ozzy,
I'm Aida.
and again we're Downtime, but volume 2. Today we are gathered with a drumroll please, special guest, Kath. Hey Kath, welcome. So I was like, you know what, maybe I'm gonna introduce Kath, but I think not. I think you are a very good speaker, very talented. So why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm not sure how much am I supposed to say, so I'm just gonna say, hello everyone. I'm Kath. It's very nice to have all of you here in downtime.
So actually, we've known each other for a while, but Ozzy, you and Kath are closer, and Ozzy was the one that brought Kath to Downtime, which is a blessing. So Ozzy, how did that actually happen, huh?
Okay, so with like technicalities in it, we were looking for people to invite for volume 2. We thought like we want to hear thoughts from very interesting people, and the first person that came to mind for me was Kath because she's someone that I'm currently working with a few projects, like for a few projects, and she's very intellectual. She has like great ideas. She talks really well. Oh, I feel like I'm complimenting you too much. Are you uncomfortable now?
It's fine. She deserves it.
I know. So I was just like, she has to be here, you know? And to me, she's a change maker and a go getter. And I think that's someone I'd like to have on the podcast. I feel that people can benefit from listening to. So yeah, that's why I wanted Kath here. Kath, do you want to share like what is it that you're currently doing? Maybe like you know how I said like a few projects, but I don't know. Like I only know 2 that you're doing now. But if you want to share more than that, sure.
I'm actually like the one that's actually established is only Tula so far. It's what you know. So should I share that here now or?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, so basically what Aziz is talking about is this one of the initiative is called Connect, and or you can or also known as Taylor's Connect. So in Connect, what we do is it's a student-led initiative where we give peer support and we also advocate for mental health among for for the longest time ever it has been for among Taylor students, but now we're trying to expand and try to just get whatever reach we can. We will help however necessary lah. So that's what Connect does. We carry out online peer support sessions because we established it was during MCO and we couldn't do it physically. That's one. And second initiative would be also Aziz is also part of it. It's called Kau Oketa. So Kau Oketa is more of a campaign on destigmatizing counseling among secondary school students. So basically teens lah. So we feel like youths are pretty woke about mental health in our personal perspective, and we feel like youth have more access to mental health facilities as compared to teenagers. And you know, like mental health illnesses actually start. Most of them actually starts when you are a teen. So we feel like we should approach them. We should use them as our target market, target beneficiary. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really
That's
nice. Wait, the karaoke ta was it someone that founded it and you joined, or was it something you guys started up actually?
So okay, so how Kau Oketa
Uh-uh.
started was that so I had someone suggested me to join this competition. So it's an advocacy competition. It's called it's under YSEALI. So the US Embassy Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative, YSEALI. So it's YSEALYLI.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
And what they do is like you can go and advocate for any cause. So we have teams from so we had that advocate for the environment, for women's rights, for animals' rights, for democracy, and of course for mental health lah. So I just joined the competition, but then we needed a team to join the competition. So I gathered like a few people And then and we just joined for fun, more for like knowledge and experience. It's not that we wanted to. I mean, if we got it, it's great lah. And eventually we did. So we won, and then we got funding from Malaysia Kini to execute our campaign. Yeah.
Whoa.
So now so after that we had to recruit more people to help out with the whole execution, because the founders, if you were to call it, is just 4 people, but we definitely need more like manpower lah. So that's when like Aziz came in.
That's really
Yeah.
nice. Also, Azi, you came in after the establishment of Kaoketa.
Hmm.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I only heard about it like at the surface, so I'm like asking more. And I only knew about it just a few weeks back. You see,
Yeah.
okay, people who are watching, the most amazing thing is that the biggest change comes from people that don't have to brag about it or say that, oh, I'm in this, I'm in that. That's why it's so amazing that you guys have been doing it behind the scenes. But yeah, in general, what would you say that you stand for? Like what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Yeah, when you say that, even though I've been like, I mean, even though more like my initiatives are mostly on mental health, but like what cause is it? Like what cause I would stand for?
Mm.
It will be more so on education, quality education, because I feel like I'm more passionate in that. But you know how education has so many like anything
Yeah.
can be education, right? So that's why it can be anything lah. But that would be what I would stand for lah, education.
But yeah, okay, so Kath, it sounds like, just like Aida has mentioned, that it sounds like you advocate. Okay, that's actually what you said. You advocate for mental health, but also you do advocate for education. So I feel that, so Kath, you've done a few like podcasts and a few articles with certain people, and it's always been about the initiatives. I thought
Mm.
that it would be a great idea if we could hear a little bit about Kath as a person over here. So, with
Yes.
all these advocacy things happening, and all of these things you're doing, what led you to this moment? Like, what motivated you? Where did this confidence come from?
Yeah, what's your story?
What's your secret?
Secret.
So when it comes to advocacy, so like on education and on mental health, right? I think it would be that it stems from frustration that not a lot of people understand it, which is which then like makes me frustrated. Then I'll be like, oh, like damn it, why don't they know about this? And then when I find out, it's basically they're just not they don't have enough awareness or knowledge about it. And how do you provide these people knowledge is by giving them the education for it. When we talk about the initiative like Connect, being peer support, that particular initiative started from not being able to rely on other people as students when we needed mental health related assistance. So students decided to take up the role as as supporters instead of relying on the professionals. And then we realized that also it's easier to open up to peers. So that's how it all like started lah. So a lot of advocacy things I do starts from frustration. So it's always like I was trying to look for a gap. If there's that gap, then I'll try to fill it in with whatever way I can lah.
Yeah. And that is so nice though. Like, usually I feel that even like myself, sometimes I'd find myself existing and I'm just like, I'm just gonna, I don't know what to do, but I'm gonna wait for something. But I feel that you were just like, I'm not gonna wait, I'm gonna do something about it.
Yeah. And was there a particular experience that shifted something in you to say, okay, hey, this is the moment that I gotta do something? Was there a particular experience that made you feel so did something happen to you that made you want to advocate for this even more?
So honestly, how because I was like that too, Azzy. Like I was like who am I, right? And then after that, when we started off Connect, we I always thought that it was gonna be a very it's thing that we all do, but then it turned out to be pretty successful. Then after that, I realized that if Connect can be a success and we started from ground zero, so why can't the other things be as successful or even more successful than Connect, you know? And that's why like every small thing I'm like, oh, let's do something about it because we started really from ground zero without like much supervision from like any adults like well we're adults like professionals and it was okay. So I was like, oh, you don't need to have like a certificate or like a uh, or like a to start something now. And I always think that even if it doesn't like become really successful or like even if it cannot impact a lot of people, if your initiative can impact at least just one person, that's already like successful. So it's just better than nothing, right? So think of it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, when you were younger, and you mentioned that mental health accessibility is way better now for the youth that are the age we were. Um, during your time, what mental health accessibility did you need but didn't have? Yeah.
Like everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
What was it for? Was it for at least a counselor or um workshops? Yeah.
So, okay. So for me personally, I like didn't know shit. Oh my god, can I curse? So I didn't know shit about mental health until I went for counseling. So when I was younger, so I went for counseling only when I was in university, but I needed it like way before like when I was in secondary school. So when I was in secondary school, I actually met my counselor, but and I know he's there to help you in some way, but I didn't have like enough awareness or knowledge about mental health in general. So I would talk to this counselor and he'll be very nice, but he doesn't say anything much. He just like lets me stay in his room and like read his books, and then once I calm down, then I'll just go back to class. So that's how he helped, and I was very grateful for that. Um, so I would say what kind of help that I needed before I need a counselor is basically just education lah, awareness on what am I facing, because if I don't know and I don't understand what kind of things I'm facing, what is actually mental health, then how can I seek help, because I remember like when I was in secondary school, even now I see some of my friends don't go for help because they feel like they are fine, or like my problems aren't big enough, my problems aren't serious enough, isn't counselors only for crazy people, all this kind of stuff.
Mm,
um,
yeah.
yeah, so I feel like that's what I needed lah. I think maybe a workshop would have worked if it's not like
Mm,
maybe a workshop would have worked. But I remember all the counseling workshops that were held in my school. I'm not sure about. I'm not speaking for all the schools in Malaysia, lah. But personally, in my high school, it was more on like motivation kind of thing, like they will give you like motivational talk, like stand up and go and achieve your dreams, that kind of thing, which is just like a very small spectrum in mental health. There's so many more things that they didn't talk about.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, though, for real. Oh, it's also like just like going back. It's just so nice to hear that Connect has been a motivating factor.
Mm.
Hearing this, it's just like a reminder that like it is such a great team, and we like did quite well. It's like a very how do I say? It's like a pride thing when I hear
Yeah.
Connect now. I'm just
You
like,
should
oh
be
yes,
proud of it. I'm really glad you guys are happy with it.
yeah.
And this is just the beginning. So,
Mhm.
Mm.
imagine.
Imagine. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like from what I'm hearing, yeah, stigma has always been there, and I think we're in an era where a group of people or a community of people are trying to eliminate this stigma. Especially when you say about, oh, only crazy people go to therapy. Yeah, this is one of the hardest stigmas to get rid of. And honestly, therapy is for everyone. Therapy is it's just so associated to the word like mental health seems like such a disabling thing, which it could be. But just having someone to talk to, talking to a friend is also therapy. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like I mean, Ozzy, please share if you want. But like in my time, yeah, I really resonate with Kath about needing maybe a workshop or two. We didn't have anything at all. The counselors would totally rat me out to all my teachers and say, oh, yeah, she's going through this when it's supposed to be confidential, you know?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't help at all because what we actually need, because at the time I was going through bullying. I was being bullied lah, simple stuff. Actually, it's not simple, but to a kid, it isn't simple.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what would have helped was first a landing ear, but also an intervention. And these things, even the counselors didn't really know how to do. So yeah, looking at that, uh, I mean, what do you guys think would be the current issues that people would need help with? You know, if we're giving accessibility to people's mental health, what are we aiming for? Actually, anyone, what would the aim be?
Okay, I'm gonna like put in my 2 cents. Uh, I just feel that something that like if we're thinking about how it was for us when we were teenagers and how we didn't get the help that we deserved and the help that we needed. Thinking back to when I was studying in a school where mental health wasn't even talked about. And like reflecting now, I find out or I realize that all the things that friends have been telling me, they were all suicidal ideations. And I only realize this now. And as a teenager, and as a friend, you want to help out as much as you can, but you can't because you're not equipped with like the proper um, empathy skills and proper mental health skills as well. I don't know how to define it particularly. And it's really sad because they can't reach out to elder people, they can't reach out to teachers for help, so they reach out to teenagers. And uh, for me, I felt like I wanted to help out as much as I can. And if I didn't, then it would be a failure on my part. When really it wasn't even my job to begin with. Like as a friend, of course, I'd have to be there for support. That's how I would put my job description as a friend, like support. But I think I put a lot of pressure on myself as a teenager to cure it, to quickly like, okay, let them stop thinking this way, let them be okay, let them be okay. And sometimes I remember responding in a way that wasn't helpful. It was effective, but it wasn't the best possible way to respond. So things like, um, oh, please don't do it, please, you're gonna make me cry, like you have so much to live for, oh, like what about your cat, what about your parents? So it's like guilt tripping. And I think as a teenager, I was just like grasping at things, like, oh, what's gonna help, like I'm gonna try everything I possibly can so that they wouldn't do it tonight or they wouldn't do it this week. So it's quite unfortunate. I didn't know how to handle it. It was effective, but imagine if it was with another person where it wasn't effective. It would have been really bad. So I guess it was more of like luck on my side where yeah, I wouldn't say that it worked, but and I don't think I really wouldn't condone guilt tripping someone into doing things, into not doing things as well. So yeah, that's my thing, and I think Kawoketa is really trying to help that as well. It's trying to teach teenagers and equip them with empathy skills and
Mm,
counseling skills amongst friends. So like not as professionals, but as friends. So
yeah,
yeah.
that's really what's needed, lah. Yeah. So, what's the, if you don't mind me asking, what's the method you guys are going for to curate a proper like a proper technique, a proper way to make sure these kids get the help they need or they know how to provide the needed help? Yeah.
Can I answer this?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
So, so Kawakita will be focusing on four topics, and it goes by order. So the first order is we will try to. I'll go on the details later. We'll try to teach the kids, firstly, generally about mental health, like how is it different from physical health? Why does mental health like actually exist? And all this kind of stuff. Even when you think about it, right, Ida, if you went to Malaysian secondary public secondary school, in our textbooks, right, we in science especially, we actually did touch a little bit on sex education, and that's like not by all means like not enough lah, but not sufficient. But we
Yeah.
still talk it in the reproductive system chapter. But there's not a single topic on mental health. So that's
Yeah.
you can't just dive in and tell the teens, it's like, hey, this is what you have to do when you need help without telling them like why would they need help in the first place. So first we want to talk about mental health in general. And then secondly, we want to tell them what is self-care, what is self-love. So these are the kind of things that they can do for themselves first before they help others. Because it's very important to, like help yourself first before helping others. And then after that, the topic that we'll be focusing on is on counseling in general. So let's say you know about mental health, you're aware, and then you've tried self care, tried all these like self love things, but it didn't work out. So what's next? So you can like go for counseling, and so that topic will teach them about like what to expect if you were to go for counseling, where can you find counseling, all this kind of stuff. And then the fourth topic would be on what Aziz said. So just empathetic skills, listening skills, learning how to comfort your friend. Because as much as we would, you know, it'd be great lah if everyone can go for counseling, right? But it will also be great if it's a sustainable thing where you can just help. If the issue can be like, because you can't, because counseling is not there 24/7. So it'd be also
Yeah.
for people to learn empathetic and listening skills. So because we're dealing with teenagers, we're speaking from a perspective of not a teenager. We will try to how we will do all these four topics is that firstly we will try to have a lot of games, like make it a very interactive and fun activity. But also at the end of every activity, we will teach them or like reflect back what kind of things they learn, and these kind of activities would have the sort of things that you would find during counseling. So, for example, like paraphrasing, repetition, listening, active listening, and all this kind of stuff. And then we will also try to get speakers to give us talks on these four topics and also a mini workshop at the end of every topic. So this is just like a pilot thing. So we're just testing it on a group of secondary school students. But if it all goes well, we hope that it can be a permanent thing in the Malaysian syllabus. If they don't want to insert it in a like if they don't want to have it in a as a subject, like because then you have to print textbooks and maybe they don't want to do that. It can also be like just after school thing. Maybe you can slot it somewhere in your curriculum activities, all this kind of stuff. So we're hoping that it will be a thing lah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then and then we will see if there's any needed changes, then we can always like add on to the syllabus.
That's really nice. That's really nice. I can actually see it happening very clearly, like very well defined. So, you were mentioning youth and teenagers. So this is like 12, 13 to 17 ish. Mm. Do you plan to make it accessible to younger ages such as 7 to 11 as well in the future?
It is like a vision lah, but we feel like with teenagers also with secondary school also we still have like a lot to go. But
Mm-mm.
all goes well, then of course we can always start young.
Yeah, because in my experience working with kids, that's usually the golden age, 7 to 11, where they start to learn the most efficiently, and they absorb the best knowledge that they think is good for themselves. So when it comes to 12 to 17, it's already about re-guiding, providing guidance, and also redirecting them towards a better path. But they've already had their ideations of what is right or wrong for them lah. So I guess what I'm saying here is, oh, from what I'm hearing, Kao Oketa already sounds so bloody amazing, and I can really see that. Hopefully, when you guys get the manpower, that you can also cover wider areas, because more kids can benefit from this as well. Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps. Like, I don't know, are you guys getting goosebumps? Because maybe
I'm
there's
Yes.
a
getting
ghost in my room. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, it's so nice, and I really wish that I had this as a kid. I guess that's what I would say. Let's say Kath, you and Azi also had to sacrifice a little bit in terms of it did bring resilience. It did bring that strength needed to get to where you are now, and to pass that on, what you may or may not have had, to the kids, to the next generation. And generally, like, this is what we need in the world. I mean, okay, skewing a little bit from Kaoketa, mental health in general, um, at least in our culture in Malaysia, I see that people, not all, but people don't generally like to share. People don't usually like to help one another. And even if you find those people, it's so rare that uh, maybe power is not passed on to another person, or the power of knowledge is not passed on. You have to either pay for a really expensive class, pay so much for something that would help your growth. um and not only will these kinds of workshops help people see that generally helping others is good, but let's say looking at the situation now, when we're at our adulthood, young adults, how how would you guys, both Azi and Kath, how would you guys say that, um, like, what's the next step to make people realize that it's never too late to help yourself or others, whether it's growing, whether it's awareness? Yeah, I really want to know this. Yeah,
Next step.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, this is from
cat.
a perspective of, let's say in my current state, I've already been diagnosed with a disorder. Like in the previous podcast, I mentioned bipolar disorder too, and by objective definition, it's already too late to reverse from this disorder. It's lifelong. How would you help someone in this situation get get themselves up and going, fixing what they need to, mending themselves, healing? I think healing is the best word. And there are lots of other people out there that realize it or not. Like, it's even sadder that people don't realize the state they're in. Yeah, so how do you guys navigate that around your daily lives? Yeah, generally speaking.
Should I go first, or Kath, would you like to go?
You can go first.
I can go first, is it? Okay. Um, so I can't say for certain because I haven't been diagnosed with any mental illnesses and I don't have the experience for it. So I guess the first step for me personally would be to ask people, and this is my science side coming out, like doing all the research to see what is the most effective, ethical way to help people out as much as I can, and then use those to help out. But other than that, the second idea is to continue encouraging peer support, because I feel that when people feel supported and when they feel that um, other people can relate to them and that they're not alone,
Yeah.
it helps move you forward in one way or another, honestly. So if that could happen, if I could, like, if we could encourage more people to be a part of these peer support groups, then it would be great. Like, to feel heard, to feel listened to, that would be great.
Yeah. And that's what you guys are doing with Connect, right?
Yes, but I would
Yeah.
say that I hope with Connect we could reach more people. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just starting out. So it's
Mhm.
like you guys are covering both spectrums. Yeah. But anyway, Kath. Yeah, yeah. Continuing from that.
So I feel like what Aziz say is also right because when you were saying that right, I was like like so many thoughts. But then when I thought about it, like it's one thing that I learned of all this like mental health advocacy, and it's very important is that know our capacity. So there'll be so many people that you would want to help. You would because like what you said, right? It is actually very true, Ida. Like there's not many people who help people. And when you actually join in the advocacy life, I mean, I'm not like a full time advocate, but even like doing just a bit of this, you can see that there are a lot of people who need help, and then you would feel like you want to help everyone, which you can't. Maybe you can start slowly, uh, like focus on a particular community first or something like that, but you really can't help everyone unless everyone
Mm.
them. So when you said about people who whether they realize that they have been diagnosed or they haven't, I think in our capacity what we can do is just peer support, and of course like what Aziz said, we also have to do like our research on how to like support them as much as possible. We can also talk to other professionals, maybe get them to tell us like what efficient way, because there are reasons why people don't see professionals. There are also reason why
Yeah.
people peer support and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So what Aziz said is that maybe we can give peer support to these people, but I also feel that we can also educate other people on how to react or what kind of things to say or not to say when you meet someone who has been diagnosed with a certain illness. Lah. So I mean, like, there's only so much we can do, and how many times only we meet someone like if you were to make even something very small, nowadays I see in Instagram there's so many posts on like, wow, like people so woke now. Like when you see
Yeah.
Instagram posts about politics or mental health, about like sexual harassment bill, all this kind of stuff. We didn't like personally, I didn't know all of this existed 5 years ago. Like I didn't know, but in this era. So I feel like educating people even in that format. So let's say if you read about like things, what actually is bipolar disorder two, how these people feel, what kind of like how because once we understand that illness, then only we would know how to react or like talk to someone who has it. So even like posts like this, once you read already, then you'd be like, oh, okay, now I know. So I wouldn't. So if I know about it, I wouldn't make the same mistake. So I feel it's also our duty if I mean if we want like yeah, to advocate if you want to advocate for mental, another way of how we can do it is to maybe half of them could focus on the people themselves, another half can focus on other people
Mm.
at the same topic. Do you get it?
Yeah, yeah. It makes a lot of sense.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. Nice.
Hmm.
Ah, I just suddenly thought as well. Yeah, education is so important. I also feel that um, what Kath says is right. We can't help everyone. And I think that's, to me, it's really unfortunate, but like that's not our job as people as well. Our job is to help as much as we can if we want to. But we can't like control people and be like, work. So I feel that the best way, honestly, is systemic change. Systemic change. But that is a tough road to go through. But we can always try.
I feel like systemic change, right? It's a tough road to go to, but once you're there, it's easy. Like you can just make change after change after change. But to get there, yeah, why you
Yeah.
think? Yeah, so like, yeah, try.
So what's the next step? Like as individuals, stepping out from uh like let's say we step out from Connect, we step out from Kau Oketa, for a moment, we'll come back to it. As people, what is your next step to make sure that this happens? The systemic
Ooh.
change. Yeah.
So when we, so
Like,
when systemic change, whether we
mm,
like it, it's all policy making. And then when you talk about policy making, it always has to tie back to politics.
yeah.
Um, some way or another, because that's the. I mean, I'm not sure about in other countries, but in Malaysia, that's how it works. So the government holds a big part of lawmaking and policy making in the country. So I feel like, and it also ties back to education, because if you don't know how the Malaysian politics or system or democracy works, then how are you gonna make change? You know, if you don't even know how it works, how like policy making works. And then we have like organizations like Undi 18, Undi Saksama to teach us videos recently. Like last week, they made a video on like how the democracy, how voting works in Malaysia. Even I am still very unclear, because I know that like you can vote, okay, then there's like representative, but then what about like all these senators? Like senators
Mm,
is straight from by the agong, so that how does that work? You know, like all these kind of things. So that was really informative, and it taught us. Uh, so personally, the next step for us, as much as I'm very hesitant to like dive into like actively participate in the Malaysian political system, because I'm pretty sure you all know it's a mess right now. So
yeah.
and but then we want change. So I think the best way is to meet up with these kind of organizations, like for example, like Undi 18. Undi 18 is an organization who managed to lower the voting age from 21 to 18, and they aren't affiliated with any political party, but they managed to make change. And how they did it was they met all political parties. So they met the government, they met all the oppositions, and all of them said yes. So there wasn't much conflict lah. So if connect, or if we want to do the same thing, it's basically to just be genuine, just be honest. Like, hey, this is what we want to suggest, and this is what we want for the people of Malaysia. Do you agree? Have you been sad before? Like all this kind of stuff, you know. Like pretty sure everyone has experienced this kind of things before.
Yeah.
And then you just talk to everyone. Then if all of them think it's okay, because it's not that we want any party to go down or win or whatever. It's just all. So if you can come up with a statement or a cause that all parties can agree with opposition government, then it would be quite easy for the thing to pass on, like as a policy. Maybe when it comes to this, maybe it can be like a formal educational thing to have mental health inserted in our formal education system.
Yeah. Shit.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So can I add something?
Yeah.
Sure.
So one thing I feel like what we didn't realize, as in like people from our age, especially myself when I was still, so I'm from Penang. So when I was still
Mm.
in, I didn't know that everyone has, everyone could like write a bill, or like can start a bill, or can do petitions, until I came to like when I studied in Selangor. Then only I realized that, like, for example, I joined this I went for this meeting before, so it's organized under HEA. So HEA is Malaysia's Higher Education Youth Association. And what they do is they just talk, and then after that they just like, okay. Then they wrote like a statement, blah blah blah, and then it's a 3 day thing. So on the first day they talked about it, then the second day they discussed about it, and then the third day they brought it to Putrajaya and then presented in front of the minister. And then I was like, wow, if I knew it was so easy to just question, everything, then I would have done it a long time ago. But I feel like a lot
Yeah.
of people didn't know. Like we only thought, I don't know. We never questioned it. Like we never questioned like how laws were made and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, sidetrack, I think like with the way I was educated in school, you are, I like we are robbed of the ability to question. The only thing you should question
Mm,
is what there is for exams. So when you're indoctrinated at a young age, that goes off to everything older. So they could have told us this in school. They could have told us how to do tax paying, but honestly, controversial or not, they take this away from us, including history, so that we don't know, so that we can't rob power.
yeah.
Keeping the powerless powerless. Yeah. So it makes a
Mm,
lot of sense what you're saying, Kath. Because shit. Yeah. That's how shit is. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Um yeah. I mean, Ozzy, do you have anything to add to that? Anything
No,
at all?
all I can say is that I agree, but don't send me to jail, please. I want to continue living
It's okay.
out here
I
Yeah.
have
with my water
lawyers.
bottle.
Cancel
No
my
worries.
case, please.
It's okay. The
Yeah,
first,
if you hear
yeah.
this, my name is not Ozzy. It was some like the aliens has gotten here and like replaced me. I don't know who this person is.
Like, who is she? You
Who is
know?
she? Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. We're not doing any harm. If people think that this is harmful, it's because they are feeling threatened by the privilege they already have to stay where they are. Sorry, calling you out, whoever you think perasan about this. Anyway.
For
But
real.
yeah, shit.
Speaking about privilege, guys, I feel like it's a topic that's been like coming up a lot, especially if you're like active on the internet, specifically Twitter. A lot of people like it's the app to call people out on their shit,
Mm.
right? So like one of the shit that we call people out on is on their privilege. So I just like Googled what privilege means, and like the first thing that comes up is it's a noun, which means a special right, advantage, or immunity granted or available only to a particular person or group. Um, so I just feel like whenever I think about privilege, I think all of us are privileged in one way or another. Like,
Yeah,
can you hear the
I agree.
toilet? I feel so bad.
No, it's fine, it's fine.
Oh my
Just keep
gosh.
going.
Yeah. So I feel that like how do you guys define privilege? I feel that yeah, I can't put my finger on it. I definitely am privileged. I just and I feel that I need to use that privilege to make a change for the better wherever I can. But yeah, what about you guys? How has your privilege played in your life?
Hmm.
Ida, do you want to go first or?
You can go first. You can go first.
So privilege. So it's a, like according to the definition, it's like a special right granted to a specific person or group, right? And and I totally agree with you where you say like everyone is privileged in one way or another. So like maybe you would say that maybe your family wouldn't be well, but if you have access to Twitter, for example, then that can already be considered as a privilege. If you have voting rights, that can also already be counted as a privilege. So so this topic is very I don't know, like sometimes when I think about it, like does it mean that if you can walk, is that like a privilege? Like is it? Or I
Hmm. I
Yeah.
know what you mean, yeah.
yeah, so I'm like, is that a privilege? Does that mean I should be walking more? Like all this kind of stuff. So
Mm-mm-mm.
very confusing. And then I also understand when Aziz said that you feel like you feel like you need to do everything to help the underprivileged because you have the power. If you don't help them, then who will? And I felt that. So personally, for me, how when you ask like how did privilege play a role? Is it what was the question again?
Oh, okay. But before that, I want to correct as well. So,
Okay.
with my privilege, I also came to the realization I would love to help people as much as I can because I have the power to. But also, I think it's very important to empower the voices of the underprivileged because they can do the work as well. I don't think it's right to take away that opportunity from someone to make a change for their people. So
Yep.
yeah, I want to empower people. But anyways,
Mm.
yes, the question was, how does privilege play a part in your life?
Oh, okay. So, so when it comes to all this advocacy thing, I think it also stems from privilege. I don't know, how do I start? It's a long story, so I have to tell you like a story first. Then I need.
Can.
Okay, so basically, I would say that I come from a pretty privileged family. In terms of financial resources and and I've gotten a lot of things that I've seen other people not having, and because of that, that's what like started this advocacy thing. So like I want to correct myself, like what Aziz said, like you have to use it to like empower people, right? So yeah, because I'm imagining like it's different because compared to like if you were to vote for other people is different than you give voting rights to them and let them vote themselves, right? So that's how I would see it. So because of this difference in privilege, that's when I felt the most when I went back, especially to my kampong, to my village, to my dad's, my to my parents' hometown. And then I can see that because my parents were from rural areas of Kedah, and then when I went back, and I talked to English because I speak English a lot, so I speak English to them, then they didn't understand.
Mm.
Also, context, I'm Thai.
Oh.
Um, yeah, and then so when I went back and talked to English with them, even though I can speak Thai, but I'm more fluent in English, and then they didn't understand. And then I was like, oh no, like how come they don't know English? You know, like isn't it like super? And I taught them Malay, and they still can't like converse properly. And then I was just like, mingle with these people, and then, but I can see that they try their best to like be friends with me and everything. And then there were a few times when we became like close friends and everything. There were a few times when they talk about like symptoms of mental health, and I don't know how to explain, and I don't know how to tell them that, do you know like mental health is a thing? Because if they don't have resources to know about or to be aware of this kind of stuff, right, then how would they know what is it? So like when I tell them this kind of stuff, to them it's just seems like it's a fantasy. Like, what you're talking about, like this thing doesn't exist. And it's not only like my cousins, it's like everyone, the whole community. When I talk to them, they're like, what is this? What are you talking about? Are you talking about crazy? I've met crazy people. Is that what you're saying? Then I'm like, no, it's not the same. Mental health might be an extreme context, but even something as simple as education, tertiary education. When I asked like some of my friends from the village, like, what the you finish SPM, like, don't you want to go to college or uni? And then he or she would be like, or what? I don't need education to work. I'm just gonna work. What's the point of education? Like all this kind of stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, and a lot of them don't know that and some of them don't even know there is such thing as private universities. Because all their life they know that you study for SPM, then after that either you work or you study and then you eventually work. So they're like, what's the point? Like they don't see the value in education at all. Yeah, so that's when I feel like, oh my god, I'm so privileged, and then I'll start like crying because I feel guilty. I don't know whether like any of you felt that before, but I feel like low key guilty. But then after that, I'll snap out of it. And that is another like initiative that I want to start. The one that Aziz said that I'm doing like a few, right? So two has been established, but this is the one that I want to do lah. Is this one more? Yeah. Sorry, very long story.
Oh, really enjoy that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish you could carry on if like there's some more to the story.
Yeah. If there is, then feel free to continue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm ready to tuck myself in bed.
Yeah, like listen.
Fluff
Oh.
my pillow.
Okay. I'm just gonna tell like just a bit about the initiative because I can't promise you whether it will happen or not. I'm still like it's still like very like shaky.
Mm.
But what I want to do is there's this initiative in Selangor or KL. It's called Closing the Gap. I'm not sure whether Ida, have you heard of it?
Yeah.
So just that's great. A lot of people don't know what they do. So I had the misconception that I thought that they provide scholarships to the underprivileged, which they do not, because they are just like a bunch of youth as well. And what they do is that they made it their duty to expose underprivileged kids to as much pathways there are in tertiary education. So they're not that like, hey, like go to university. They're that to say like, hey, do you know that after SPM, you don't only have to go for SPM. There's also matrix. There's also A levels. Do you know what is OSMET? Do you know what's foundation? Do you know blah 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 blah?
Mm.
And choose and you then after that you choose. So they lay it out for them and then they give them like awareness that you can there are many platforms, many pathways that you can choose. They're also there to um like not correct, like give you information about courses. So I talked to one of the co-founders recently and he said that 90% of these kids they want to do medicine because their family and themselves find that medicine is the only occupation that can grant you money, that can get you money, which is a big misconception lah. So they're there to like to fix that, you know, to tell them that you know there are also other courses that you can do that can also like if you do well in any course honestly, or if you can work well in any kind of occupation in any field you can actually earn, so it's not only in medicine. And mind you that medicine has the least scholarships available, so if you want to search for scholarships then maybe not find medicine and stuff like that. But again it's ultimately the student's choice lah on what they want to study, but they're there to correct that. Another thing that they do is like workshops on empowerment. So it's more like so when you go to university there'll be a lot of opportunities and you need to like, you know, if you want to, you could utilize all these opportunities to, you know, go for public speaking. Maybe you can join these clubs in society because they're afraid that that you know, like if you're from your area and then when you go to certain universities or certain colleges, you just like go and study and then you just go back. But then let's say if you do get into like a private university or like university overseas, then there'll be all these kind of opportunities. Even in public university, there'll be so many opportunities, and it'd be kind of a waste if you don't like utilize it. So they're there to tell you that, you know, if you want to, you don't need to be scared. They'll try to equip you with the skills on, you know, how to socialize and stuff like that. So I'm planning to do the same thing like Closing the Gap does, but a very miniature version
Mm.
to the Thai community in Kedah, because I think I would say about 40% of them do not attend university, as in um, so university. So some of them might be in college vocational and stuff like that. And majority of them go to public uni, which is one particular public uni only because many people go there, because many Thai people go there. So that's the only reason why they go there is because a lot of Thai people are there. So they're very inside that, you know, that bubble. So yeah, so I want to like go to this Thai community and be like, hey, do you know that there's so many other pathways? So if you feel like you want to try and explore any kind of culture, if you want to find out what am I talking about, then you can like try and go for this, and I can like, and if you want to know about like how the psychology works, I can get you a senior who has done psychology to tell you how it works and all this kind of stuff. Not like everyone go for medicine and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's what we're trying to do, and the biggest reason why I want to do it is frustration. Again, frustration from my experience, whereby like every time when I talk to um, Thai people, maybe not all, but most of them, especially my relatives, especially my parents or my family, when I talk to them about woke topics, when I talk about how, you know, not only men can talk about politics, women can talk about politics too. Um, do you know women's right? Do you know what is sexual education? Do you know what's mental health and all of that? And then they're like, wait, like how can you talk about that? Like bad, you know? And as much as I like hate it, as much as I get like very frustrated by it, I can't blame them because it's really an education and a culture kind of thing. So I feel like instead of trying to convince my parents and all the other like older generation to agree with me and change their mindset, I rather start young and find all these other like young Thai people and like expose them early on. Then slowly, like how to say it, slowly these young people will replace the older generation. And then I hope that one day I can talk about these kind of topics openly in the Thai community. So that's what I'm going to do.
That's so
Okay,
nice.
now I have goosebumps. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah,
I
but I
love
don't know
that.
how it will work lah.
Don't know how to what? Sorry.
I don't know how it will work lah because it's a tough community to penetrate. Yeah.
Mhm. But I feel it's a great idea that you're targeting uh, the generation that's like moving forward now. I
Mm.
think hopefully it'll be more effective. I like how you mentioned that you can't blame our elders for how they think or what how they think because it's their culture. Sometimes it's like all that they've ever known, that's the way they grew up, right? They've had this different experiences from my god, my English. They've had different experiences from us, and this is something I know about you, Kath, personally, but if you'd like to share, or like, we could not share this. But I know that your parents worked really hard to get where they were. So like
Mm.
putting yourself in those shoes, it's just like it's like all that they've known, like it's hard to go
Yeah.
out of that box sometimes. So
Yeah.
yeah, having that understanding. And I like to hear that. Like I like that you're empathetic as well. Even
Yeah.
though it's frustrating, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that like being privileged people, it just I don't know if it's a misconception or something, but sometimes, let's say, for me, I have the privilege of being able to go to university, right? Compared to, so my parents came from a very poor background. So if I'm comparing from like my community in the Philippines, then I go like, you know what? I feel very like I feel that it's unfair that they don't have the same opportunities as me, and I want to be able to give them those same opportunities and empower their voices too if they want to be empowered, at least have that opportunity and that to show them that they can. So yeah, that's just a side note, but yeah, with privilege, sometimes I feel bad when when I'm thinking about my privilege and I have issues that I'm facing. So just this, I guess it's more of a personal misconception, like just because you're privileged you don't have issues, and it's kind of like annoying as
Oh
well to
yeah.
say that, but yeah, like
Mhm.
yeah, it's quite annoying, but anyways, uh despite all our privileges, my question is, um what are some of the issues that you face?
Oh, okay. So this is directed to me, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and Ida too. But
Later on.
yes, but
Okay.
Kat, yes.
So I've always so again like what you said because we talked about this before was that my dad also worked from ground up. And then so like we I remember like the first house we stayed in, it was full of rats, it was full of termites. Like every night we would have to like chase rats. And like right now, like I'm like a pro rat catcher, man. Like you need like me to catch rats, I'm here, man. Yeah. And, like, and then it slowly like got better and better, like so I actually saw how much of hard work it took. But like maybe my siblings, so like maybe my brother, maybe my sister, they don't my younger sister, my younger brother, they don't see that. So when we talk about privilege, and then like there is that common misconception, right? Like, oh, like you're rich, like what kind of problems could you possibly have? So like I mentioned just now earlier, that I actually felt like guilty every time I says that, and 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 the strongest reason why I advocate for mental health is because of personal issues I face when I was young in this family. So it's all like family issues, and most of it is more of like would it is it rude to call it like rich people problems?
I'm not sure. So again, the misconception, right? If you go on Twitter and you see rich people complaining, people would get annoyed because they're like, "Oh, but you have all this money. Like,
Mm,
why are you complaining?" But for me personally, I feel that everyone has their issues, and we should, if we're gonna help, definitely like there's priorities in helping like which community, but because
yeah,
they have more opportunities. But I feel that if we're gonna help people, we should help everyone, no matter like what where their wealth is, you know. Like
Yeah.
if you have problems, everyone has
yeah,
problems. It's just everyone has issues, and you know, no one knows how it
yeah.
feels because we're not in your
I
shoes.
think
Yeah.
I
And
think it depends on. Yeah, sorry.
oh, no, no, no. I just wanted to also reassure you that um most often than not, the things we have are things other people want but don't have, and vice versa. So I guess that's why there's so
Mm,
much going around. What do you have to complain about? Things like that. Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, continue.
So so the kind of issues that I had were like, so as a child I was always frustrated why I don't have a normal family. So when I say normal, I meant like, like you eat dinner together, and then your parents help you with homework, and your parents send you to school and stuff like that. So like I didn't have that, and I was like, so annoyed because I can't complain, because apparently like if you're rich then you can't complain and stuff like that. So that really got to me. It's like how when you watch movies and dramas, and then you see, especially Korean dramas, and then you see all these issues that this rich kid face. It's real. I'm telling you, it's real. It's not like a fantasy thing. So it actually does, like, it actually happens, like if school ends at 3, then my driver will come and fetch me at like 6 or 7, and then I'll watch like everyone who's staying in the dorm like eating dinner, and I'll be like, I want dinner too. And then like when I call my parents, and then they're like, shh, we're busy, all this kind of stuff. And I've always have to live up to certain expectations. It's like, don't be friends with her, don't be friends with him. Don't get A plus, because you have a certain image to hold up. Don't wear this, don't wear that. You cannot gain this much weight. Like my mom would, like ask me to weigh myself, and then I would have to report back to her like how much I weigh, so that if I exceed this, then it would be like tainting our image and stuff like that. And maybe it's a cultural thing. Also, one thing is that, because both of my parents are Thai, and the Thai population is only 0.02% in Malaysia. So to just give you like a rough estimate, the Indian population in Malaysia is 7%, and the Sikh population in Malaysia is 0.3. So Thai population is 0.2, and and both of them are Thai, and it's very hard nowadays to find like Thai Thai couples, like, oh my god, if it was Harry Potter, it would be like pure bloods kind of thing, and they want to preserve it as much as possible. So they'll prevent me from, by all means, like if any way I start to like any other race, then they will like, stop me. So this also, that's why like they start early from even friendships, because that's how like usually love like develop.
Yeah.
Don't be so close to this person because they are not Thai. So it's always been like that. But then that's the problem. Like when I go back to like my village, I can't even speak Thai properly, and then it becomes like, like I'm like, okay, so if I'm not Thai enough, and if I can't be like whoever they are, like what, how to say, like I'm to Thai people I'm not Thai enough, but then to like other people I'm not them. Because even in schools, if you realize, there's always this thing like they'll have this religious class, or language class, where they separate you according to races. And they'll be like, all Indians go to this class, all Malays go to this class, all Chinese goes to this class. But they never say anything about like lion or the minority community. So I'll just take turn. Like this year I'll go to the Malay class, and next year I'll go to the Indian class, and next year I'll go to Chinese class and stuff like that. Because I like learning all cultures anyway. But I know some people who actually feel um, like alienated because of that, because like there's no particular issues when it comes to particular, like they don't address this issue when it comes to that. segregation, which I feel is so unnecessary. But anyways, um, so yeah, so that's like per se that's my the kind of issues that I face that led up to all this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, my heart.
Yeah. Like,
It really hurts to hear that. Like,
wait.
and it really hurts to know that. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, no, no.
Aida?
Carry on, carry on.
Oh no, it really hurts that to know that sometimes these issues feel like we feel the need to minimize these issues just because you have the rich privilege. It's
Mm.
quite unfair. Yeah. This is I feel like what I'm saying right now is controversial to the Twitter community. But I just feel yeah, I just feel like it's an issue too, you know? Like
Yeah.
help everyone.
I read about it. Like I googled so many times. Like, is there such thing as like wealth guilt or something like that?
Mm.
And it is because as children they say that we don't care like when we were a child like we don't care whether we are rich or poor because like children don't really see that they see it more of like I want to be part of the community like I want to be part of this group no matter whether if this group is doing something bad also I want to be part of it that's why that's how like kids see it so I think that's probably that's what happened as well and I read that sentence that said that like you might say it's a rich people problem but it's still a problem nevertheless and especially if the issue can't be solved with cash then like why do you think that it can be solved.
Mm.
Exactly, yeah.
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 Like, hearing how you grew up, especially the part where you were already kind of skewed in upbringing to only look out for certain races that you should be, um, mixing with. How did that affect you, like when growing up until this point? Like, how did you navigate around that? And at your current state, is it the same? I don't think it is, love, but how do you get out of it if you did?
So yeah, so growing up I've been hearing that honestly it's still going on. Like my parents still talk about it. Like don't mingle much with that race and all this kind of stuff. But I think because when they said that and then when I was in kindergarten, when I was in primary school, there's no Thai person to mingle with. So like takkan like just don't mingle with anyone.
Mm.
So I just had to mingle with someone and then I realized that what they said about these people weren't true because I saw it. Like I saw that these friends actually stood up for me. So I was very lucky. Um, like I would say that my privilege would be having really good and supportive friends because throughout my all my like school life from kindergarten up to uni, I've had really reliable friends. Yeah. So I get really angry when people I mean, I know it's like subject to that person's opinion, but I get like triggered when someone says that, family is everything. Blood's thicker than water. That I,
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So maybe and another thing, Ida, I think
Mm.
like yeah made a big difference. Made a big influence because I watched like because like even right now my parents watch Thai media but I don't because I don't understand. So I watch like Western media, and I think that's also why like I'm different. Yeah.
I I just need like 10 seconds to 10 seconds more to process this because
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I
take your
yeah,
time.
I don't want to offend. It's just it's very different from, let's say, me growing up. It wasn't actively pressed on me to be able to or not able to be friends with someone. Because for me, I grew up in a Chinese community, and
Mm-hmm.
even so, we did have other races with us. We from Sarawak, we have a lot of people like Klabit, let's say, Melanau, And you're right about kids, what you said just now, that kids only want to be part of things. So what mattered most when we were growing up is the fact that okay, everyone's playing football, let's all play football. Or okay,
Yeah.
everyone's watching Danny Phantom, let's go watch Danny Phantom. um and the part where it came up where race mattered was when you start applying for real life things, whether it's
Mm.
university or whether
Yeah.
it's let's say your IC. Oh, the IC was a big game changer. Because
Oh.
you would have to fill up that form with the dan orang lain-lain, and that's where we start thinking, okay, what the fuck is this? You know, like why isn't my name there? So when kids start to question these things, and we look at our elders to answer that for us, they would already start to apply what they think is best for the situation. So where I'm going with this
Yeah.
is that growing up, I mixed with all races, and we didn't have the thought of, oh, this kid in primary three, or he is Chinese, or he is Indian or anything. The first thing we would ask is, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite color? Or do you do your homework?
Yeah.
Or actually, I hate
Yeah.
science. That's the first thing that we come up with. So when it comes
Yeah.
to all these racial things, where I come from, Sarawak, it only came at a later age, and it didn't necessarily come from my like upbringing directly. It only came when we had to grow up and ask questions lah. So seeing your story, I really am saddened to hear that things had to go that way, but I also am more inspired by the fact that that didn't stop you from actually talking or mingling with whoever you wanted to. You know, like you didn't just follow blindly. You really thought at a young age that, you know, I can't just not talk to anyone. I can't just be facing a
Yeah.
wall, you know? So that's really important as well. And yeah, I just wanted to say that, I guess, that it's so important that with when we're supposed to look at certain areas for guidance, let's say our elders for upbringing, and that sometimes in objective terms fails us. I guess we're very lucky in this era that we have media to turn to, that we have the internet to turn to. And I also wanted to ask, what was your biggest guidance from there? Um, when you were told to live a certain way, what would, besides media you mentioned, what else helped you navigate out of that? Like stand on your own 2 feet and be like, ah, no, no, I'm gonna run my own life, you know? Yeah.
I mean, you say it as if, I mean, honestly, I don't like, oh, I'm gonna run my own life because compared to, because compared to all my siblings, I'm like the most obedient one.
I see.
Yeah, because I think the reason why it started so young, right? The race thing is because one thing when you're from a minority group, right? The most important thing that, I mean, from what I know that the grown-ups want to preserve is the culture of that race, because when you calculate there's only like 700,000 Thai people left, so next year it's going to be like lesser, and then in 10 years time it might be extinct. So their priorities is always to preserve the culture, to like, marry more Thai people and have more babies and stuff like that. So that's always been to learn Thai, to preserve the culture and stuff like that. So I think that's why it started from very young, because they want us to be aware of it. And say like, who else I turn to for guidance, right? So because I was very close to my friends and my parents, like, were quite busy, and then they often weren't there. I turned to, so for example, if like no one were to fetch me to school or from school, then my friends would see, and then they'd be like, "Are your parents coming late again? Like, follow me back, lah. I'm sure my mom doesn't mind." And then I start getting closer with my friend's mom, my friend's parents, and then then I'll see, I'll be like, what, like sometimes I'll think like, what would this like ex mom will do, like, you know even though like
Getting
that,
me.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they don't know how much influence they had on me, but I knew.
Mm.
I rely on my teachers a lot. In primary school, not really lah, because my teachers were pretty shitty. But in secondary school, I had a mother figure teacher, and I would come to school and tell her all of these things, and and it was so controversial till the point where like I would cry and tell the teachers everything, and then the teachers were like, okay, we'll let you do it, but okay, we'll promise we won't tell your parents. You can do it. But then when your parents come and ask us, we will lie and say that you're doing something else. I don't know like whether it is. I mean, it's very controversial, right? Because you're hiding things from this child's parents, but
Mm.
them, to them, they felt like the issue. They knew what was wrong and right.
Mm.
I think that's why they were on my side because they could clearly see that it was wrong. So they're like, it's okay when your parents like if your parents ask you like who's your best friend, then we'll be like, oh, that Thai guy and stuff like that. Like they were willing to do it. Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That Thai guy. So, like, hearing all this, I would assume that with that upbringing, they would already prepare you for, when you get older, and then the whole thing about family and settling down. And am I wrong to assume that they also have the same mindset that you gotta settle down with only someone of your own? Um,
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, how do you navigate around that? Like, will they arrange marriage for you, or will they just try to set you up, or try to get you to meet more people in the Thai community, or?
So it's all of that. So it's already happening. So basically, like that's why I say like what you see in this drama, like, it's real, man. It's real. It's happening. Sometimes I'll be watching it and I'll be like, wait a minute, like wait
It's
a
my
minute,
life.
like so yeah,
That's me.
like yes, I should like patent this, like
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
So they would actually like and like when I'm pretty sure like some of you have heard this before. They will say things like, oh, like if you get to know this guy, it'll be really good for our company and that kind of stuff. So it's actually a thing. Like
Mm,
also like they will like send like my mom will send me this guy's Instagram and I'd be like, okay, and then what? And then like the excuse that I've always used is like, no, I don't want like Thai people or I want to study first bullshit lah.
mm, mm,
So
mm. So buying time lah
yeah,
a bit, is it?
Yeah.
yeah, that's one. And
Mm,
I also said that because generally the Thai population don't really um majority stop until like diploma or in college or even SPM. So I said that I want educated, like very educated man, and then my parents would be like, "We will find for you," and that I'm like, "No, no, no! It's just an excuse to not get." Yeah, but I also believe like my counselor said before, like it's a thing also, like a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy when you keep saying that you don't want. So like in my parents' case, if they were saying things like, I really want I really hope that Leah doesn't find like a non-Thai guy or a guy of another race, and then they kept like saying it, and then they keep like acting against it, and so now I'm dating a non-Thai guy.
Woo!
okay. I'm feeling very conflicted. I'm very happy for you, but at the same time, like, okay, how is this story going to unfold with your parents?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my
Oh,
god,
that's
it's so bad lah.
nice. So you met someone like
Yeah.
that. I know about the guy, but I don't really know how
Mm.
that played out. Actually, continue.
Love. Oh my gosh. Kath's love
Okay.
story is just so.
Okay. So I feel like I told this to so many people
Yeah.
already. So we met in college and yeah, so then we just started dating after we graduate because we are study focused people. Just kidding. I don't know lah what happened. We only started dating in college, and then really lah because of having growing up with friends of different races, I really didn't see race as a factor in anything. So, but even before I dated this guy that I'm dating right now, I've been dating a lot of guys of multiple races. So I've dated a Chindian guy, a Thai guy, yeah, like many guys, and then so I settled down with. I can say his name, right? I can, right? I mean, he's
Yeah,
fine with.
it's
If
up to
he's fine
you.
with it, is it okay?
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. It's up to you.
Okay. So his name's Alan. Because it's just easier to address. And so we started dating after we graduated, and then immediately after that, he had to fly to Bangladesh to study medicine because he got a scholarship. So he has issues with his family as well. So I won't get into that. But blah blah blah. Then he has a full scholarship to study medicine in Bangladesh. So like a month after we got together, we had to do long distance for like a year.
Oh.
So yeah, but it wasn't that difficult because we're still in the early stage of the relationship, so we still didn't you like it's still pretty like easy lah to have long distance. And while he was having long distance, I was working in my dad's company. And from time to time, sometimes when he only has one break um during his whole year, so that was during Raya. So during Raya we would sneak he would come to Penang, and then because I was working, so I would pay for all his flights because for house is you gonna get the money, right? And then my parents were coincidentally my parents went on a trip to some other country, and then when he came, so I told my grandma like, hey, can I stay with him and stuff like that, and then I didn't tell him lah. I was just like, can I stay with a friend? And my grandma was like, okay. Then so I just stayed with him for a while. So because it's long distance, right? So we have to call, of course, like video call and everything. But then the thing about Bangladesh, so he wasn't staying in the capital of Bangladesh. He wasn't staying in Dhaka. So his university was in this rural area of Bangladesh, and like Dhaka's Wi-Fi itself is bad. So when he was staying in this rural area of Bangladesh, it's called Mymensingh, and it was so bad. So like for example, if we were to call and then it starts raining, then it would just all the electricity would just shut down. Like there's no lights, there's no fan, and then like if he needs to study for exam, he needs to like light a candle and like use the candle light to study, and then yeah, it was tough times.
Mm.
Meet like once a year, and I was so sad. Like I was working. Oh, and then while he was facing all of this, I also had my own issues. Basically, like, um, maybe it's again like this their culture to like kind of control. Maybe it's a thing because they also control what studied. So I've always wanted to do, and it's very ironic because I always wanted to do medicine, and then they said no, and then Alan always wanted to do something else, but then his parents are like medicine. So we always had that paradox between us.
Yeah.
And another thing is that he is not from a very well off family. And that's where like a lot of my ideas stem from because there's a lot of things that I didn't realize. But then Alan would tell me like, oh, do you know that this that? I'd be like, oh, holy shit. That's when I feel like, oh my god, that's so unfair. Like how come if I apply I can get it, but why when you do it you can't? Like when you're like even more capable than I am and all this kind of stuff. So that's where like all this advocacy thing starts also. Okay, anyways, so so we had long distance, and then when Alan came back for Raya break, he felt like he couldn't do it anymore because in Bangladesh there was a few bullying case. There like rape cases were really normal. Suicide cases like happen every month, and like no one just do anything about it. So he like came back and then he told his parents like, I can't do this anymore. And another thing is that they teach in Bangladesh, but the exams in English. So basically, it's just all a self learning thing because he doesn't understand Bangladesh. So it's really just self learning, and then you just yeah, it's a pretty bad environment. And then when he came back and then we met. So how it works is that my parents went to Greece, and then all the money that I worked for, I gave it to him. So he bought a flight from Bangladesh to. So he took a 4 hour bus ride to Dhaka, to the capital. Then he takes a flight to Singapore, and then he took took a bus to Johor, and then he flew from Johor to Penang, and then we met. And then after that, he took another flight from Penang to Subang. And then like his parents would come back, and then he'd be like, "Oh, that's a long flight from Bangladesh," like who, because they don't know that he stopped by and saw me. So till now, none of our parents know about our relationship, and it's been like 3 years. And then so basically, once he reached Subang, he told his parents that he didn't want to study there anymore. But they also have like so he also has like his issues. His family also has some issues whereby they're like, you know what? How can you not appreciate this opportunity that you have? Do you know like this kind of opportunity to study on full scholarship for medicine comes one in a lifetime? How can you just decline like that? Just few months and you can't take it anymore, blah blah blah. And then I was so sad in Penang, like, oh my god, don't send my baby back to Bangladesh and all this kind of stuff because it's really bad. And they don't and they don't see it because they think that it's like just suck it up, be a man and just like study. You know? Yeah, but eventually things got so basically what he said was like so both of us were fighting against his family because he was like, I don't know, what should I do, should I go back? And then I'll be like calling him and telling him like, no, don't go back, fight, stay in Malaysia. And then he'd be like, okay, I'll try, but it's so hard because it's you at like a nine and a 19-year-old against like so many adults who's telling you to like go for it. And how much control can you have, right? You're still financially reliant on them. And then he like, you okay, fine, I agree with you, I'm not going to go back, and I'm just going to study in some public uni or a private uni. I'm just going to apply for like any scholarships, I'm going to apply for PTPTN loan, all this kind of stuff. Then I was like, yes, I support you. If you need any money, you tell me, I'll work as cashier, I'll send you my money. Because even though my parents like had money, I don't. Like I'm personally very poor. I really don't have money in my account because I'm not working or anything. So it's all that like part-time work money that I'll just send to him. So then while we were like so he was applying for like many scholarships, right? And then he came across Taylor's scholarship. So he also wanted to study something else. So he always wanted to study engineering, but then his family still disagreed, and then he felt like if he's gonna stay here, the least he can do for his family is study medicine. So that's why he's still studying medicine. But there are not many scholarships that offer medicine. So, but then we came across Taylor's scholarship, and then Taylor's full scholarship, which that they give for like all courses. And then like it was gonna close in 2 days time or like the next day. And then he was like, should we apply for it? And I'm like, yeah, apply for it. And then he said, okay. Then he like applied for it. And then I did his slides, and then he did like, so we practiced like his presentation like 3 4 times. We didn't sleep that night. And the next day he went for the scholarship interview, and he got it. Like we didn't think that he would get it because it was like a 1 day prep kind of thing. And then when he got it, I also talked to so I was supposed to study medicine in Newcastle, but because my dad like wanted me to study business, he switched my course to business in Taylor's. So he didn't like really tell me about it. And then after that, like when he told me about it, he was like, oh, I feel like you should study business in Taylor's. He didn't force me or anything, but they do this low key thing where they go like, well, if you study business, you'll make me really proud, like that thing. And
Yeah.
then yeah, and then this was like before I know that Alan was got that scholarship because he applied for many places, right? So when we called that night, I was like, hey, I need to tell you something. So I'm not gonna study in Newcastle, by the way. I'm gonna study in Taylor's. And then he's like, oh my god, do you know I got a scholarship from Taylor's? And then so from seeing each other like once a year, now we see each other every day. And yeah, so then after that we met every day, and then now I'm back in Penang. So now we're doing long distance again, and it's much harder lah. That's like than because we already like been close before, right? But yeah, things are working great. Um, he's always been supportive lah. There was also this one time where I was working in Starbucks. Aida, I think have you
Yeah.
yeah. So the reason why I was working in Starbucks was because um remember the Newcastle University I was supposed to go to, right? So I already paid rent with my friends. So like, we rent a whole unit and then we divide by three. But then, and then when my dad said I was gonna transfer to Taylor's, right? I asked him like, what about the rent? Because my friends are gonna stay, so I can't just like kick them out. And then he was like, it's okay, I'll handle it. You just go study business, and I'll like just handle the rent. And he did for like 2 months. And then the few months he didn't pay, and then I was so stressed out because my friends were saying like, "What about your rent? Like, why are we still staying here if there's an extra room that we have to pay for no reason, you know?" And I called my dad, and my dad's like, "No, I'm not gonna pay for this when you're not staying there. So what's the point of me paying?" And I got so like stressed out, so I applied for a job in Starbucks, but
Yeah.
it's so underpaid. It's like literally minimum wage, so it's like $5 per hour, and it was, I mean, even if it's enough, it was like literally 100% of my wage would go for that rent. So I would secretly pay the rent, and I'll tell my friends that my dad's paying it, but it's actually me. And then, so like for example, if I have class from 10 to 12 and then 2 to 4, so like 12 to 2 I'll work, and then 4 onwards I'll work again. Like I'll run like that my friends would see me wearing the apron in class because I'll be too lazy to take it off because after that I have to like go for work again. And Alan could see it having like drastic impact on my mental health. So it wasn't like very conducive lah. Like what the hell, right? Then you have to study and everything also. And then he was the one who like said that he couldn't take it. Then he called like my friends from Newcastle and said that um he he already told them to find new tenant, but the thing is that because they don't see me struggling, like they don't see it firsthand, so they took like quite a long time because they felt like she still can pay for it, so like chill out lah, like we'll find it next month. Then every time I call them like, have you found another tenant? Then they'd be like, oh yeah, yeah, we'll search for it like next month. So so I was just like, yeah. And then he said like, she can't do it anymore, blah 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 blah. And then after they were like, okay, fine, we'll find new place. And then I quit Starbucks, and then yeah, so he was there, like he was also the first, no, the person who encouraged me to go for counseling, because of course I had like childhood trauma from all of this, um like yeah, growing up in my household. So he was like, you need to resolve this, go for counseling and stuff like that. There were also a few times where we had arguments as a couple. And then because I was going for counseling, right? And then my counselor suggested like, hey, maybe you guys want to come for couple counseling. And then I asked Alan to go for it. Then he was a bit reluctant at first, but after we went for couples counseling, he was like so glad. And then now more than anything, every time I ask him to go for couple, like we didn't even like wait for a problem. Now like we don't wait for a problem to start. So like we're just like, I'll just be like, hey, are you free? Like that counselor say he like wants to talk to you if you're free. He just wants to check up on you if you want to. We can have another like couples counseling session. Then he's like, okay, and then we'll just go for a couples counseling. Because a lot of people think that it's like you need to be up like on the verge of divorce to go for couples stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah, so basically that's like my love life right now. So now he's in Selangor still studying medicine. I'm waiting to transfer to Australia. So now I'm planning. So in March I will transfer to Australia if there's no COVID, and and it's gonna be like long distance again.
Yeah. But you guys can go through anything, and you guys got couples counseling. Oh, man, this is why I
Legit.
would encourage that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I was talking to Kath just now about how um okay, I don't remember exactly what I said, but okay, now I really think that this really sets an example on commitment. And if you really really
Mm.
sayang someone, if you really love someone, no matter what the reason is, that responsibility of committing, no matter how hard shit gets, that really is all part of good growing up, I would say. Like that's really on the right path to being a grown up. If you want to think of settling down, if you want to think of your future or anything, like if it's one thing about love life, this is really how mm, everyone has their own way, but this is how it should be. The idea of when shit gets tough, if you really love someone, they're not at stake. You guys gotta hold hands and do it together. And I'm trying not to cry, but like this is, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's that. I'm pretty sure that's just the gist of the story, lagi. You know, like belum dig the soil lagi to really see what's underneath all that chests to of stories. But like, what? Okay, Ozzy, you've heard the story before, so I'm like blown away right now.
Yeah.
What?
It
What?
still blows me away. I think I've listened to
Yeah.
this story like 3 or more
Three
times, I
times,
think.
yeah,
Because I'm always there with a new person, and then they're like, Kath, tell me about Ellen. And then she'd be like, oh my God, I told this story so many times to like so many people. Like, as you will listen again, I'll be like, okay. So, like, I feel like I could memorize it, write a book,
Yeah, write a
publish
book.
it.
Like these are novels that I would read. Like I don't care about
Yeah.
fictional novels anymore. I stopped because that's just bullshit. But this is really something that people need to know. Like one thing I really want to know is okay, so many questions. Okay, what kept you guys going? Like how do you guys go through the long distance? How do you guys like maintain that emotional strength? Oh, okay, wait. What's a better question, Azzy?
All of that. How
What's a better summarized question for this?
I'm not even sure. Like the
Yeah.
first thing that comes to my mind is like how I mean, I can't really question it because it just really shows that you guys really love each other and
Yeah.
like care for each other, that you were willing to put in the work even when
Yeah.
it was tough. And even if, like, let's say the couples counseling thing, it was just in the beginning he was just like, couples counseling, what's that? And it was like, it's kind of awkward, a little uncomfortable in the beginning, but he was willing to try it if it was going to help. So I think it was
yeah.
like taking the chances to make things work. And when you guys took those chances, I feel that it did work, and like that's why it's going well. And it's not to say that you guys got rid of all of your issues. You guys just know that you can deal with them together.
Yeah.
Mm.
And okay, I think I found my question.
Go for it.
Okay, I think I lost my question.
Okay.
I had it right there. Okay, these questions that I like all these things that I asked like 3 questions in 5 seconds, it comes to show that from my perspective, oh, it's so hard already. Oh, how is it possible? Especially at such a young age. Oh, why is this like that? Or how do you guys get there? Sidetrack, it really shows that maybe the society I'm currently living in, it's not a norm to be able to commit and get through so many things together because they always say, oh, you're still young, you can still meet so many people. So it's really like, okay, a simple one. How how did you know? Okay, ah, we won't know that they are the one or not. But how is it that um you guys manage to commit through so much together? What is that pulling point? I know it could be love, but what is that deeper thing, deep rooted inside that you know that things will be okay as long as you get through it together? What is that one thing that really roots you guys together? Yeah.
Hmm. I don't know, when a lot of people, like a few people, like ask these kind of questions, but it's very hard to pinpoint when it comes so naturally. Like um honestly, I think that I don't know. I think it's because I really think it stems from the couples counseling. Go for couples counseling, guys, because we definitely had like issues because we were super different. So we are like really super different people, and I'm like super emotional, and he's like super like brains. It's so annoying sometimes. Like he'd be like, "Why are you crying at this movie? It's just a movie," and I'd be like, "Why?" Yeah, and then I'd be like, "How can you not cry?" Like, jeez,
Lol.
stuff like that. And and I think we actually like that point where we realized is when my counselor was like okay, like tell me your point, and then like I'll say stuff, and then after that, then he'll go to Ellen, but and what would you say to this? And then he would say things like, yeah, so this is how he feels. Maybe you could do this a bit more. Maybe try to like compromise a bit more, and then this is what you can do, so he will understand better. Because okay, so the issue is that so when I get sad, I tend to be clingy, but when he gets sad, he needs space. So it's very so if both of us were sad at the same time, it just won't work out because I would be clingy and then he would want space. And 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 the counselor was saying things like, maybe you can give her reassurance, and maybe to you it's stupid to say that it's okay, I'm here, like I love you, because you would think that she would already know that, but she doesn't, she need that. And I'd be like, and then he'd be like, oh, okay, I thought that you would know, like I'm still here, so I thought that you would know and stuff like that. And then he would tell me like, he needs space, and some people like recharge when they are like alone. Give him some time, then he'll come back. It's okay, he's not gonna leave you forever. Like chill out, and then maybe and with you reassuring her, then she might be like more what's the opposite word of reluctant, more
Willing.
willing to,
Yeah.
yeah, like more willing to let you have your space. And then after that, like, so after we learned how to do that for this issue, so every time when we had like any other conflict, that's what we'll do. Like we'll just like, okay, 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 we'll have our own couples counseling. I mean, obviously it's not as efficient as, with a counselor, but we try to implement the same format, yeah, the same structure, and then we like talk it out. And there's a lot of rules, like rules where we have like, like to not sleep angry, like until the issue is not resolved, then none of us will or can sleep. So it settles it then and there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether to answer your questions.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
basically answering all the questions of this is how you make a relationship work. You try to find the best solution for for the situation, and if it doesn't work, you try something else. And
But it's
oh,
not easy lah.
yeah.
Definitely. Like recently, oh my god, like drama. So
I'm
like like this year, recently, I think like 2 months ago or last month. So when I came back to Penang, so a lot of the times I remain, like, even though during sem break I'll stay in my dorm because I'll try to avoid home as much as possible. Because I didn't like home, and people would ask me like, "Hey, are you going back to Penang?" Then I'd be like, "No," and then they'd be like, "Why?" Then I'd be like, it's just I found a job in Selangor or something like that." And oh my god, it's so bad lah. Like Alan would forge our my bill, because like when if you study tailors, the in some I'm from August intake, and then in business school January to March is the sem break. So we would forge like the bill to be like the bill is from, because the bill will come out like March until June. That's the amount that my dad has to pay. So we were forced to write it like January until June. So my parents would think that my whole semester is from January to June. So that's why they don't question if I don't come back. Yeah, because if they find out that I'm working, or if they find out that I'm doing something else other than studying, then they will go like haywire. So yeah, and then when I came back from Penang, that's like really long time before I came back to home for a long time. So I find it really hard to adjust. And what more that I'm slowly starting to end my course. So my dad is starting to like, you know, get me to groom me to take over the company, and it's honestly something that I don't want to do. That's also the reason why I'm like searching for so many things to do, because I want to keep myself busy. And every time when he's like, "Hey, like let's come to the office with me," then I'll be like, "Oh no, I have something going on." So it's also like an excuse for me to stray away from whatever he wants me to do lah. And it got so bad because he told me to like quit everything I was doing. He was like, stop all this connect stuff. Like, well, what the hell? Like, connect doesn't get you money, um focus on my business. I was actually doing a bit of his work, but then he said that I'm not giving my 100%, and he hated that. Then I got so like stressed, I ran away from home. I went to I went to Alan's dorm in Sungai Buloh, and then I stayed with him and his like five other guy friends, and for like a week. And then that's when like I texted my parents like everything, like, do you know all this while I've had like this is how I felt about this all this while, blah 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 blah. Because as much as I want to blame them, they were not aware. Like I never told them because the first time I talked about it, they made fun of it, and since then I've never talked about it. So I used another chance and I told them like straightforward, like, you know what, I'm gonna start like a new life here and stuff like that. We talked about this all the time. So Alan and I talked about this so many times because he knows how the situation is like at home. So he would say things like, you know, if you really think that you can, because I think that you have the capability to start on your own, but you need to be willing to let go all of your materialistic items lah. So like you won't be staying in this kind of room, you know, you won't be like having a pool in your house and stuff like that. Can you stand that? And then I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then he was like, you know, it's easy to say it now, but like make sure you're like you really are aware of what you're, you know, letting go of. Privilege, you know, like that you're letting go of a privilege. Like, are you sure you're willing to do that? And then I was like, yeah. And then when I told my parents that, no, I'm going to start like a new life here in Selangor, I'm going to work and everything. And then for the first time ever, they said sorry. And then it's like, oh, that's a new thing. I've never heard them say sorry before. And then Alan's like, oh, yeah, that's new. And then Alan said, like, if you're willing to go back again and try to stay at home, because they said sorry, right? So maybe they've realized something because you've never talked about this to them before anyway. So maybe you need to go back and see what's happening. And if they're still like really mean to you, then you can then by all means come back and then we'll start fresh. And then I'm like, oh my god, should I not should I? Because I was so afraid that if I would come back, what if they were to take my phone and everything that's gone? Like I can't book Grab, I can't like go anywhere already, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, so I eventually did come back, and they did what they usually would do, which is like they pretended that nothing happened. Until this day, we never talked about it. So it's been like 2 months, and we've never like addressed the issue of me working with my dad, and we've also never addressed the issue of me like running away. Like, until now we haven't talked about it. So like, don't know why now. Yeah. Oh, they also found out about Ellen because I don't know why I was dumb enough to tell them. Maybe because my brother was opening out about his so-called girlfriend, and then I was like, and they seemed pretty chill, so I was like, maybe they'll be chill with me too. I was wrong. Then when I opened up to them, they were really harsh lah, but of course, they were against it, and but one thing that I really didn't like was they would say things like, oh, if you're dating an Indian guy, then like my mom would cook like Thai food, and then she'd be like, don't eat that tom yum. You dating Indian now, right? Eat Indian food. Don't eat tom yum. Tom yum is Thai food. Then I'm like, what the hell? Like, don't you eat Japanese food? Are you dating a Japanese person?
Mm.
Yeah, like this kind of stuff. And they would say things like if there was an Indian auntie that like was walking down the street, and then my dad would be like, my mom would be saying, look at your mother-in-law, look at her so fat, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like, calm down. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, she would say that directly to Ellen
No, no, she said to
or to
me
you? Oh,
because
as a joke. Okay,
mother-in-law.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. As a joke, as a joke. Yeah. Yeah, my dad doesn't joke around like that, but he's more of like, no, like Leah, you know how much the Thai culture means to me. Don't do this to me, that kind of thing. And what's worse now is like recently he's a very high position in Persatuan Siam Malaysia. So he's like, what are people gonna say if the daughter of the Ketua Persatuan Siam Malaysia is gonna date an Indian guy? That I was saying things like, why can't I still help the Thai community if I'm dating an Indian guy? Then they're like, you can't. They and their mindset is very like they say that you're my daughter, so you should live like how I dictate kind of thing. They literally like say it out. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a older generation thing.
Very. It's like how do you even define your Thai-ness? Like,
Exactly.
how do you define being Thai? How do you know that you are the purest of the Thai? Is it if you're dating a Thai person, or is it you as an individual? Like, what is it? You know?
It's really like that stupid Harry Potter thing. It's really like the blood, like
Yeah.
yeah.
White blood.
Because
Yeah, exactly.
you, as a person, you are a Thai person, and you define yourself as a Thai person as well, right?
Yeah.
So how does that change? You know, something
Yeah,
for
exactly. And
them to think about.
Thai is one thing, and another thing is that the company also he's like, if you're gonna marry Ellen, then you can't take over the company. I'm like, why not? And then he would say things like, because if you were to have children, your children wouldn't be Bhumi Putra because Thai people are Bhumi Putra. And then like, if your children aren't Bhumi Putra, they can't like have my dad's business in petrol station, so you can't hold a petrol station if you're not Bhumi.
Right.
And then I was like, it's okay, I'll find another job. And I'm pretty sure like Alan will also have another job, like chill out. And then he's like, no, like, no, you must take over. Then I'm like, it's okay, you can give it to my younger brother. And then he's like, no, you must have it. Then I'm like, jeez, like, calm down. Yeah. Yeah, so it's very
Shit.
confusing. And I also asked him before, like, okay, like if my children can't like take over, I still can. Like, I still think I can if you really want me to. Then he's like, no, if you marry Alan, you can't. Then I'm like, why? Because I become like less capable when I like marry a person of another race. Then he's like, yeah, like don't like you can't. Then I'm like, what? What? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
Oh, that's
sucks.
unfortunate. Yeah.
Mm.
We're not defined by who we interact with, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We might be influenced in a
Mhm.
way that, okay, hey, I never tried mac and cheese before, but I learned from a friend that mac and
Yeah.
cheese is great. That is, you try mac and cheese because you're influenced by the idea that it's good, but like it doesn't change who you are at your core unless you allow
Yeah.
it. And Kath,
Yeah.
you're not doing that. You know who you are, so I'm just mad. I'm
Yeah.
mad.
Ida really loves her mac and cheese.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I didn't
The
want the
best one's
example
in
to
near
be
my house.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, the best one's near my house. Come over
Is
sometime.
it
Come on,
pasta
guys.
panas?
There's pasta panas and one that's called Mac Mac Shack. I don't know.
Okay. Sponsor Downtime Podcast.
Oh
I
yeah,
We
if
will
want.
you,
review
I'll give
it.
a review.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
on a real though, yeah, I didn't want to make an example so controversial as well, but the concept's still the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
But yeah,
for
oh
real though.
shit.
It's tough. It's tough.
It is going through
Did
that, yeah.
are these rules applied to your brother as well? If your brother was the head of the family, like the first child, firstborn, this would be the same thing.
I think it
Oh,
would be harder on him because he is um the boy. But another thing also, my dad was very adamant of me dating an Indian guy is because sorry, a Thai guy is because your children in Malaysia, like the children follow the race of the dad. So for example, for my brother, if he were to marry like an Indian girl, for example, his children will still be Thai. So my dad wasn't very worried about that. So he's like,
mm.
you need to find a Thai guy, yeah.
Shit
Oh
lah.
my gosh.
Oh my god. Okay, so moving forward, how do you plan to navigate this then?
Oh my god, we had so many ideas. Like we were so ready to run away and elope, man.
I
So
told
Oh,
him, I
done.
think I was like, invite me to your wedding. I will help you with the runaway. Like, I will add some money. Oh
yes,
my god.
me
But those are your
too.
parents.
And I want to help with the wedding, like
Oh my gosh. This is like a secret agenda.
Alan was saying how like you just write this story somewhere and then you just do crowdfunding. Pretty sure we can get if you're
yes.
For real.
write the story that I'm like
Yeah.
maybe and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm very But the thing is that both of us are still both of us are quite family oriented, even though we don't really like our family, but we are very close with our relatives and stuff like that. We'll just I don't know like I don't know how to answer that question. So we're literally just like going with the flow. So like my dad didn't tell me to break up with him, but my dad was saying how like don't he said it so how he phrased it was he's like don't close your heart to other guys. So so I was like what does what does that mean? You know?
Yeah.
So he's like don't seal yourself to only this one guy, you know, like I'm not telling you to like ditch him or anything. You can still be friends with him, but like open your heart to all the other guys. Like, there's so many more other guys out there. He was saying stuff like that lah. So yeah, so like every time I call Alan, sometimes I get really scared that he finds out. But then now I realize that I can just say like, well, I'm just talking to a friend. Like what's wrong with that? You know?
My eyebrow is furling and I can't unfurl it.
I can't take this. I can't. This is
Oh,
so funny. My God.
yeah.
So bad though. But like, yeah, we'll help with your wedding. Don't worry, don't
Yeah,
worry. Where do you want to get married again?
definitely.
If you
Event
run
planning
away.
here. Yeah.
Don't know.
Was it in Thailand? Some
It'll be
island. Pick it
it
up.
will be convenient if it's in Thailand lah, because I can.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, but Alan's family when it comes to this racial thing, it's nothing lah. Like his family is fine with it, so that's great. And
mm.
and his mom is like so. His mom was the mother figure that I needed when I was young. So like, I could see like how the mother treats him lah. So that I'm like, oh god, yeah.
Aww.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We need like great parents in our lives.
Yeah.
Great leaders, great teachers, great
And
honestly.
yeah, just thanks for sharing that because it really all comes back into one nice, perfect circumference of a circle that, like, whatever you guys do for yourselves now, whatever you want to contribute to the world, that's gonna make a better place for the next generation, right? And even though we didn't have those parents, I guess we'll find it in bits and pieces in other parts of our stories as the days go by. And it's so nice that you found that mother figure you knew you needed as a child.
So
Okay.
when you listen to the like when you kind of get the gist of my childhood and like my life as a like in this household, right? Then like I think you would understand why I'm advocating for mental health and education.
Yeah.
And then after that, like you then I could see the difference in privilege that Alan has and I do that he doesn't and I do and all this kind of stuff. Like, and then it just revolves back to policy making and education and yeah, so it does like yeah. I'm still very conflicted on what am I gonna do as a career. So it's one is the relationship thing. I don't know how it's gonna end up, and another thing is career lah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Being in your 20s, man. What do we do
Yeah.
with our lives?
20s
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
SZA. Yeah, that's our theme song right now.
Yeah.
Thanks to
Suzanne.
Ozzy. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
sad. I don't listen to that song anymore because I watched this video um by I'll send you I think I sent the video to a few to Aida at least. I don't know if I sent it to Kath. But she was just like, stop listening to music that makes you cry. Like it will stop you from moving forward. And I was just
yes.
like, but I need to cry, you know. But then it made sense in my head. I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm spending a lot of nights crying. I'm not doing anything about it. My gosh. So yeah, I have a crying playlist.
Oh,
Plug
I
if
saw.
anyone wants to follow my Spotify.
Yeah.
Oh my god, do you stalk my Spotify?
No, no, as in like I
Oh.
saw. Okay.
Oh,
Does.
I thought you were gonna like follow. I was just like, oh my gosh.
It
Yeah,
Okay,
but I
let's
can
follow each
follow.
other. Sorry?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we follow each other. I already follow Aida.
Oh, it's okay.
That's so
Oh,
Alan though. You know, he would be like, "Why do you have a crying playlist? Why are you wasting time crying? Leave me alone. Let me cry. You don't
leave me be.
understand." Yeah. Then he's like, 5 hours. if 5 hours in one day, how many days in a week? Think about it. Think about it. I'm like,
For real though. Sometimes
Oh.
I cry for the sake of like getting something out of my eye, like or just to cry. I remember I went hiking. Oh my gosh, I went hiking with Aida and like two few other friends, and something I think a bug got stuck in my eye, and I was just like, okay, guys, and they were like, pour water in your eye, pour water in your eye. I was just like, no, 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 I need to cry.
Yeah. Oh,
There, I was just like, tell me some sad news, like current news, and then they told me about like politics and about like
was it the
some
bombing at the time?
yeah, okay, I don't even want to
What's the
talk about it because
explanation?
I'm gonna
Yeah,
cry now.
okay.
But it was like some injustices that was happening in the world that I started crying, and it came out. I was like, see, we don't need water bottle, we need our own tears. Like keep that water bottle to drink and stay hydrated.
I was so worried about that. Okay, yeah, I was so worried about that because that's like how acting works, putting that in the different
Oh
place.
yeah.
Yeah, but what were we talking about before
Oh,
20s?
yeah. Oh my gosh, we don't go
Before
over.
20s.
Oh, don't know how to do. I don't know what to do with our lives. That was before 20s, and we don't know.
Where
Kath
it's gonna go
isn't
lah
sure about relationship
in the
and
career.
life. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
all I can say is not only are we here to support you, I'm here to support you guys, but from the stories you're sharing, from the stories you guys have shared, you guys are on the right path. Like, it really, I mean, you can just ask yourself, does this feel right for me? And that's more than enough for you to know you're on the right path. And, oh, I'm getting goosebumps. Oh my god. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see what comes next. Yeah.
Yes.
the pressure.
No,
No,
no, no.
no
It's not
pressure at
pressure.
all. Like I feel whatever you're going to do, you're going to do it so well because that's just how you do things. I feel you don't go into things like
Half-assed.
without yeah
Yeah.
half-assed. Yeah, and things that you're creating as well. So even if like whatever the outcome is, I know that you've tried your hardest and it's very supportive. So
Uh,
no pressure at all. It's just like here to like, listen, watch, all that, help out if we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you need reassurance, we're right here. Yeah.
Yeah. If Alan's reassuring you and you need another reassurance, like we're here too. We'll be on a video call with him,
Yeah.
reassurance, showering you with that.
Yeah.
but thanks you guys too for having this platform to talk.
Oh,
Oh.
yes.
Yeah, so I've been listening to your season one stuff, and it's very cute how you guys like talk about it. It's very interesting. Yeah, so like I did like what a marathon, right? So sometimes I don't like stay for the live. So there was one time I did like a marathon on downtime, and I told Azida. Azzy was so excited.
I was like, I'm
I was
gonna
Oh.
tell
like,
Ida.
yeah,
Thanks. But
Yeah.
yeah.
because there's a lot of podcasts nowadays that I realize on Spotify, especially that like when it comes to this kind of topics, like the topics that you guys choose, they are mostly remarks by professionals. And even though that's great, of course, like we need their advice as well, right? Because they know more of this shit. But sometimes I just want to hear some like opinion from us, like from my peers. Yeah,
Yeah.
that you guys did this.
Oh, girl.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I feel that
Feel?
we're coming to a wrapping up time.
Yeah, it feels like that. Do you feel like you've
Yes, a
exhausted
natural.
like you've said everything you want to say?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
such a great, great conversation.
Yeah. Like, I mean, wrapping it up, I'd say we talked about privilege a lot, and
Mm.
um privilege can be defined however you want to define it. It seems like it's the life we're born into. And it is what you have in that current reality, and our privilege can always change, and most of the time we have that power to change it, if not other people. And we always think that the higher ups have the power, but
Mm.
it's the powerless that when they realize coming together is stronger. They are more powerful than just a bunch of weenies leading anything big. Okay, I'm just gonna keep it at that. But on a real, I would say that uh, Ozzy, you mentioned this to me before, and one thing that I really resonate with what you guys said is the empowering part. Um, with our privilege, however it's defined, whatever we choose to do with it, I feel like it's so nice that people take it and empower other people to see that they can create that life for themselves. So that's why I'm so excited to see what you guys have next because hello, we need this. So,
Yeah.
yeah. To whoever is listening, I know that um sometimes people won't understand the privilege you do or do not have, the things that you are or are not going through. Um, but I feel like the bridge is that understanding that it's not about the comparison where I have it and you don't, or you don't have it, I do. It's really about creating that life you want for yourself. And I know that it comes with the consequence of politics that people will put you in your place. We're gonna grow up and realize that we can put ourselves in whatever the fuck place we want to be. So that's all I kind of want to say about privilege. I think this could be in another
No,
episode. So
for real.
Yeah.
yeah,
We should have an entire episode for it.
yeah,
Yeah. Uh, but
that
before that,
empowering guy.
I think I want to ask Kath one last question,
Can.
which is so I feel like our target audience or the audience that we are seeing, it's open to everyone. Honestly, this applies. These stories, these conversations are for everyone to listen to. But I see that target is usually the youth. So, Kath, what is one thing you'd want the youth to know, or even our audience? So it's up to you, love.
So okay, so for me, like I'm a strong like I'm all for like youth empowerment and youth advocacy. Um so I feel like when we are at our youth, that's the best time to take action if you want to start a change because when you're an adult, then I feel like I mean obviously you still can do it, right? But like you might have like other priorities, and then like when you're a child, you might have not. When you're a teenager, you might not have enough resources. But please don't be halted by the fact that people would say things like, "Oh, but you're still very young. Like you're too young to talk about politics. You're too young to make a change." Or like, who are you? You're just a baby and stuff like that. And to our listeners, maybe if you're a younger audience, if you're younger than your 20s and you're listening to this, and then, because when I was like a teenager, I'd be like, wow, 21, can do anything. It's not like that. You would still feel like you're inferior, but please don't let that stop you. Even as a teenager, if you feel like you can make change, I mean, look at Greta Thunberg, right? She made like an impact against the whole world. So like, if you feel like you know better, and if you need help, you can just like contact me. I want to like know. I want help. I'm like all again. I'm all
Yes.
like youth advocacy. Yeah.
All details, links for
Yeah,
Coffee
yeah.
Talk Connect will be linked down below, or probably at the end of the video. But yeah, all the links will be there, so you know where to find her. Contact her right now.
Yeah.
Do it. Do it. Do it. Okay. Sorry.
Oh my god.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
So like oh, and one thing that I realized, like if you hope for change, right, it's not gonna happen until you take that step to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Take that step, guys.
And we'll find out more on how to do more of that with as downtime goes by. Yeah,
Yes.
this is not gonna be a last, I hope. We hope to stay updated with you, Kath, because
Okay.
like hello, we just reached Wawasan 2020 and this is happening already, so I'm just like haha. We've got
Yeah.
nothing on this shit. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah. Is there anything else you wanna add? Anything else?
Not from me.
Azzy?
Not from me, but thanks for being here, Kath. It
Yeah.
was, yeah, I
Thank
really
you
appreciate it.
for
Hearts.
coming on
Yeah, it was nice.
Downtime. It was such an honor to have you share here.
Yeah,
It's
very
an honor
inspiring.
to be here.
Stop. But continue, like, please.
But yeah, if you like this video, please leave a comment, share your thoughts. You know where to find us. Link in, it's not bio, it's not Instagram. Link in description on where to find us on Instagram. Link in our about. Link everywhere. So follow us on Instagram at downtime underscore podcast. And what else? We'll keep you updated there. And until next time, this is downtime. I'm Aida,
And I'm Ozzy. And
I'm Kat.
and this has been such a good downtime. See you in the next one.
Bye. Thanks for
woohoo!
listening.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.